Hey everyone, I'm here once again with Mary Zunick, who's the Hot Springs Sister City Program Director and an Honorary Consul of Japan for Arkansas. And this is episode number 5 in our Sister City series, which is about all things involving our relationship here in Hot Springs with our sister city of Hanumaki, Japan. And Mary has several guests in the room with her, an entire delegation of students who are part of the exchange program, and she's about to give an introduction to someone we've had on before who's going to give us a virtual tour. So I'm going to let Mary tell you more about that, but as always, questions or comments, just leave them there and we'll address those at the end of the program. So, hello, Mary.
Great. Hey, thanks, Paul. Thanks for having us on again. COVID has certainly made us explore some different options for exchange. Since this all started, we obviously haven't been sending any delegations to Japan or receiving any visitors from our sister city. But we had already selected a group of students who were scheduled to travel to Japan and teachers. And so obviously they were not able to go in 2020. So we postponed it till 2021 and that didn't work either. So we are now looking at 2022. So Jesse and I, one of our friends from Hanumaki, who works in the Hanumaki International Exchange Office, or the Office of International Exchange. He is a coordinator and interpreter. And so we were visiting about what some options might be for the next program. And he suggested, since June is when students normally travel to Hanumaki, that might be a good program to have to really feature the educational exchanges that have taken place in the past. And so we decided to get the whole group of students here. We're here, most of them are here in the room. We have a couple watching from home to share the experience together. We can't travel to Japan, but we can virtually travel to Japan. And so now I would like to welcome Jesse Gutman this evening, joining us from Hanumaki, Japan.
Hey guys.
Hi, Jesse. Thanks for joining us. So I'm going to turn it over to Jesse, who's done a tremendous amount of work to put the program together for us. So Jesse, it's all yours.
All right, sure. Let me switch here real quick. If you want to throw me into the photos there. We good?
You're good. You're good.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm just going to jump right in, and I want to preface this by saying I've got probably tens of thousands of photos. So throwing them down into like hour-long bite sizes is obviously difficult. So what I've done is kind of gone through chronologically since 2013. I came here in 2013 in January to work at the office. And so there's some photos that I've lost over the time that have been in corrupted drives. There's some photos that are mixed up, but I have most of them. So if you're not in here, if you're watching right now thinking like, oh, I was in that delegation, but he's not showing my photo, I'm very sorry. I still love you and miss you. But hey, that's them's the breaks. So number one, we're just going to start right here with 2013 spring. And these are old. So some of the quality of the photos are kind of bad back then before I had better cameras. So we'll take you through it without further ado. Spring is sakura time here, the cherry blossoms. So we're starting off with some of the beauty. And these are all taken in Hanumaki. Around probably April, a little bit before April maybe. Just some local shots. This is also in spring, but this is Dulcinea, which is a historic samurai residence. And this has just been maintained. Samurai actually lived here very, very long time ago. We got some shots of shrines. This shrine, actually, the name I don't remember off the top of my head. This is the entrance to an Inari Jinja. Inari shrine is like a fox shrine. And here's one of the foxes. This is Tannai-san shrine. It's actually really big for a shrine. If I just looked at this from the outside, I would think maybe it's a temple or something, but it's a shrine here we have. This is on the shrine grounds, this like sacred rock, and people crawl through the crevice there to the other side. There's actually an opening on the other side of the rock, which is kind of the thing you do when you come here. Some of the lion statues there. I've actually, quick note on this, I'm turning this whole shrine grounds, the Tannaisan Shrine, into a VR experience. Will that ever be finished? I don't know, but I'm working on it. So if you got VR and you want to check this out sometime later, follow that project that hopefully gets done. Of course, ran into a cat at that time, apparently. This is still in 2013 in the spring. This is an elementary school sports day. Well, like field day, like we have in the US, basically. Lots of kids there. And the tug of war, in which some kids would never give up. 2013 ASMSA, we had a visit from ASMSA, and this was at Hanumaki Agricultural High School, I believe. And just mingling with the students, exchanging, trying to communicate as always, right? This is way back when ASMSA did not yet have a Japanese language program, but they still obviously had fun. Playing some games, I believe, doing origami. And they also got a chance to see the Shishiodori, the deer dancers. This is like a traditional performance here in Hanamaki. There's actually a bunch of different schools of deer dancing. And this is in this one, they have like somebody who plays the role of a scarecrow as well. And so one by one, these like deer dancers come up and inspect the scarecrow. There's the ASMSA group with the performers and some students. Oh, 2013 educators. Some of our educators may or may not be watching. You get Dawn there in the center there. Dawn, the one in the blue and white shirt, actually went on to become lead chaperone, I guess you could say. She would come with pretty much every student group after this year for several years. Not directly after, well, Clifton Coleman, who we'll see later, important figure who led most of the student groups. But Dawn, after Clifton gave up the mantle, Dawn took over. So, but I believe this was her first visit along with the other teachers. And they got to visit some schools and see how the teachers operate here and how the kids learn in the classroom, how the classrooms are set up. Met with the mayor at the time, Mayor Oishi. Took a trip to Miyazawa Kenji Museum. Miyazawa Kenji is like a famous poet, author, scientist. It's a common, we take a lot of groups there because he's one of the important like historical figures of Hanamaki. I got to do some mochi pounding, visit the Iwate General Education Center. And at the General Education Center, this is actually like a place for teachers to go to study, like to better their classroom habits or, like what they do in the classroom, their technology and stuff. This is at Hanumaki Higashi High School. I stopped by there and did some calligraphy with them. Shodo. What is she writing there? Looks like ongaku music. And Dawn is writing love. They did tea ceremony as well. 2013 Citizens Delegation. Yoshie-san's in the background there. She actually works in our office now as the assistant manager. This was at, I believe, Shozanji, Shozan Temple. Also, Geibi Gorge, which it's like this big, beautiful gorge, and there's a stream down the middle, and we take visitors downstream. This is not actually in Hanamaki, but it's a really beautiful place. that's somewhat nearby drive. So we like to take visitors there as well. There's Mary driving the boat. Some of our delegates. Deer dancers at a welcome party. And just to make sure, I'm still coming through, right? Because if I'm not, there's no way for me to know.
Yes, we can hear you and see your pictures very well.
All right, perfect. At the welcome party as well, with a bunch of delegates. These are some people from local government. The guy in the center between the two Hot Springs delegates there in the blue, he is Mr. Fumiaki Sasaki, and he's the president of the International Exchange Association, who we work closely with all the delegations. This is some field art in Ishidoria, which is a town in Hanamaki now. And it says like, Tsunagaro Iwate is like, let's get together Iwate, let's connect, or something like that. This was at the 2013 Hanumaki Matsuri, so Hanumaki Festival. There's some of the delegates. Over on the right, the one in the pink scarf, that's Yumi. And actually, I believe Mary is right behind her, but Yumi worked in our office for a very long time, and she recently got switched to a different office. That's just how city positions work here. You get switched in and out of all sorts of different offices. And there they are with the lanterns. And I don't know if you can see that, but it says Hot Springs National Park on the placard on the float there with Smokey the Bear. We had a Hot Springs float in the parade that year. This is a mikoshi, which is like a portable shrine. So they take these like inside these portable shrines, inside the mikoshi, it's kind of like a relic, I guess you could say, and they're usually stored in shrines, and so they're taken out during like festival times and paraded down the streets, and they're carried just by festival participants, and they're very heavy. So carrying mikoshi is like a whole event by itself. Here's one of the floats. Tons of floats during the festival. There's another one. Shishiodori made a performance there as well, parading down the streets. This, I believe, is actually a video, so we might be able to hear the music, I think, as we tested before. Oh, sorry, I tried to get rid of that message there. Let's go back. See the giant taiko drums on the back there. That is the Hot Springs float. And actually, all the people in the purple are City Hall. Well, I don't want to say each, but a lot of groups throughout the city. So you might be in a group that's like part of your workplace, or you might be in a group that's your local neighborhood, and you all would have your own festival hamten, which is like this coat kind of thing that you wear, a jacket. And they're all different colors and have different marks and designs and stuff. And us here at City Hall, I get one of these too. We wear the purple and the black. 2013, just a quick look at winter. This is at Osawa Onsen, the hot springs. They have an open air bath, which you can kind of see down there in the bottom right. This is the measuring of, what was the name? Taroshi Falls. So there's a waterfall kind of up in the mountains here in Hanamaki that freezes over during the winter, and it's a really old tradition that's supposed to like predict the upcoming harvest, but they measure the width of the frozen waterfall every year. as part of like an official, city event. And that's actually the mayor at the time, Mayor Oishi, was at the measuring. They also perform a type of kagura performance, type of song and dance. And this one is the Gongen Mai. Gongen Sama, I should say. I should give some respect. Is the kind of lion-headed deity there. Obviously, somebody is inside operating the costume. 2014 students. Here's Mr. Coleman, Clifton Coleman, and Yumi that I showed you before during the festival. That's her coming in to give him a hug because they used to see each other every year when he would come. So Mr. Coleman did pass away, but he is undoubtedly one of the most important figures in our entire relationship between Hot Springs and Hanumaki. So very much appreciate all of the things that he did for us. There's him giving her a hug. He's always a really bright guy, always smiling. There's Mary and Yoshie. Yoshie is our current assistant manager. Some students, we got students who were, so this was a student delegation, and this is like I believe the first morning. So they would probably come here and then go to sleep at the hotel, and then they would like meet their host families in the morning. So this is them meeting their hosts. That's his Lane Davis. Lane, I still remember you. And there's a lot of students, and I have like thousands of people in my head. So if I forget anybody's name or mess anybody's name up, I do apologize. I do remember all your bright, shining, beautiful faces. This is Doamura, Kenji Doamura. Miyazawa Kenji, the famed author, poet, and scientist that I mentioned before. He has a lot of like facilities throughout Hanamaki, and this is one of them. Doamura is like, literally translates as like fairy tale village, because he was a fairy tale author among many other things. And so it's kind of like a fun house that we take people to. There's one of the rooms in there, and if we make it through other student delegations this time, the photo sets, you'll probably see this room a lot because everybody comes into this room and it's the perfect photo opportunity. It's just this big white room with this kind of like galactic tree in the center with all these different artistic seats around the room. So groups like to take photos here. This is some kind of like sky room there. They have cabins outside of this place, and each cabin is dedicated to a certain thing that Kenji studied. So like this cabin would be like animals, like you can see up there on the top left, or on the left side of the screen is kind of a cat on the wall there. So all sorts of different exhibits and sounds and lights. In the bus, so I'm probably at the front of the bus there saying something dumb, which is why these people have this expression. Trying on, it looks like yukata, which is like, so people usually know kimono. Kimono literally just means like wearing thing. It's just kimono, like people in their head have this picture of what a kimono is, but there's like several branches off of the word kimono, and each one of them is like a different type of clothing. So this one is a yukata, which is more like a spring or summer, like a lighter version of the outfit. So everybody's getting fitted there. We have professionals. The women there who are helping them out are actual like kimono teachers, because it's very hard. It's extremely difficult to do it by yourself. Most people have people help them put them on because there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. There's everybody with their yukata on, taking photos there with their teachers. Mary leading the charge here with Mayor Ueda. It's our current mayor, and he was mayor since that year. We usually take groups to come and say hello to him as well. And he, gives a talk about Hanumaki and, welcomes the group to the city. You can see up there on the wall, we went all out with a Hot Springs flag. There's Mr. Coleman. I like this shot of him at the welcome party for all the students and the group. So this is like when students and their host families would get together to typically we do this on the first night before they go home so that they can all like kind of, get used to each other in a communal setting before splitting up into individual houses. And usually we do it like potluck style. So all the families will bring different foods. Sometimes they make them, sometimes they just bought them. Hanging out with the students there, eating good food, talking, contemplating drinks, more contemplation, and then dancing. The group from that year had a whole like choreography set that they did before they came here, so they showed that off. And the Hanumaki side, the students here also had some kind of song. I don't remember what song they were singing, but they were singing. This is probably the next day at one of the schools. They were doing some kind of like engineering project that they could try to build the tallest towers, like just using paper and maybe tape, I think it was. So when we bring students to schools, we like to have them like actually participate, not just, look at the classrooms and stuff. These guys trying their best there. They also did some cooking. And I believe they were making kabocha is squash. To all the Japanese people listening right now, kabocha is not pumpkin. It's always translated as that. It's squash. Okay, pumpkin is like a big orange Halloween looking thing. So they did squash soup and hamburgers, I believe. They wanted to do something American, I guess, for the American visitors. There's these guys cooking. Lots of sharp knives all over the place, which kind of surprised the Hot Springs students. A certain amount of trust is given to the students here, I guess. These are the final results. And lots of smiling faces. This is on the grounds of the Hanumaki Agricultural High School. In the back, in the top left there, I think there's a bigger shot of it later, but that's actually Miyazawa Kenji's house. And it was actually relocated to the grounds of the Agricultural High School. And Miyazawa Kenji, it was like almost 100 years ago that he passed away. I think, it's like 120 something years ago, 130 something years ago that he was born. And he passed away very early. I think he was like 37, I want to say. Somebody can fact check that, but I believe that's how young he was. And he was, a very important figure here. So the students of the Agricultural High School have taken care of the house since it was relocated to their grounds. Oh, yeah, there it is. And they let our groups come inside, take a look. And at the Agricultural High School, it's kind of like somewhat of a technical school, I would say. So they do all sorts of like specialized skill training. And here's like landscaping, like trimming bushes and stuff. So they had our kids jump in and help out. Again, more sharp objects and lots of trust. And their final bushes there. Then they went to try out kyudo. Archery, like traditional archery. Student led. Having them try out their bow form there. And then taking a group photo. At school again, a different school. Lane Davis is always bringing the laughter. And she probably said something she regretted there, I guess. That is May Kawamura. She was in our office for a while as well, one of my longtime coworkers. She's now right next door to our office in the tourism section. And what she's showing me there is, I was asking what the students were doing in the class because I just got back from somewhere else. She was showing me the paper that says, Let It Go. This is like back when Let It Go, the song was really popping off. So everybody was singing it in English and Japanese together. And there they are singing it. Mr. Coleman bringing out the basketball skills during gym class. And he's got skills. Playing with the kids. Making the shots. Good sportsmanship. This would be tea ceremony. And there's Mary in there as well, and with the students. There's a whole like choreographed kind of way that tea ceremony is carried out as well. Like they make specific steps, and they will place the bowl down in front of you, and then bow, and then you bow back to your host, and then you would pick up the bowl and turn it, I believe, counterclockwise. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes into tea ceremony. I'm not sure if Lane liked the drink there or not. There's Mary doing international relations. And Mary, I think you said you remembered this kid, right? Mr. Coleman there on the piano. Mr. Coleman, a very talented musician. So whenever he would come over, he would, as much as possible, we would kind of get him to, play the piano and show off. There's Yumi singing. She's singing, it says Star Circling Song there. That's actually one of Miyazawa Kenji's songs that he wrote. Everyone from Hot Springs, welcome to Yasawa Junior High School. So that's where we were that day. Checking out the class. There's a very young me in the background, probably interpreting. Making origami together, I believe. This was at, what was the name of that place? Esashi Fujiwara no Sato. So it's kind of this like very old traditional like remake of an old area. So you'd come here and there's all sorts of different things that you could look at and do. Like you could dress up in traditional garb there, like we have here. Dress up and take photos. And see some great views there. And then this is back at the Exchange Center. Again, a younger me in the background, probably teaching them Japanese. Just usually what I do is I gather everybody up. Whenever we had downtime, instead of letting them sleep, I would force them with an iron fist to learn Japanese. This is at the Shin Hanamaki station. The Shinkansen, the bullet train. So this is them going back to Tokyo to take their flight home. And everybody's saying goodbye, of course. And there's always crying. Some people try to hold it in, but some cannot do that. All right, 2014, take another look at different shots of spring here. This is in a local park. A really popular local park. So during springtime, people will come out here for hanami. And hanami is like, I guess you could just translate it as like flower viewing. So people will come out and, they'll do like picnics, drink beer and just hang out, barbecue and stuff. Usually nearby sakura. There are just some shots of that area. And the blossoms. This is kind of downtown Hanumaki. There's a whole row during spring of sakura that blossom along this street. Some older gentleman just walking right across the street there during traffic. That's somehow a sight that I often see here. Riding bicycles. Even in residential areas, you'll get a lot of really beautiful views like this. A bumblebee, why not? And I was out taking photos for our office just for PR purposes, and I came across this lady who was tending to her garden. And she looked up at me, and I looked at her, and then I said, "Can I take your photo?" And she agreed, so there it is. Some more sakura. This is overlooking one of the downtown areas where the river passes through. And there's a lot of areas where there's just trees lined up like this. So you get these really scenic views during the spring. This is at Hanamaki Minami Kindergarten. Oh, and behind the scenes look at how I get some of these photos is there's somebody took a shot of me in a tree. 2014 Hanamaki Matsuri, the festival. So different views of floats this time. You can see these guys are wearing different hanten. It's not the purple one like I showed you before. So these guys are from a different group. And they would all work on their own floats and have their own people in the parade. These are citizens, I believe, during because the citizens come during the festival time, which is in September. Yep, there's Mary and Mr. Sasaki, the president of the International Exchange Association. Having a good time with the group. And Shishiodori. So this is a different one. There's no scarecrow in this one. This is, I guess you translate it as like bonfire Shishiodori. And there's the bonfire right there. Oh, there's Yumi again, showing off dango. It's not really, dango would just be translated as dango into English. It's like a kind of glutinous treat. And that's to the right, that is Mina Katsuta. And she used to work at the International Exchange Association. Oh, here's a good shot of them carrying a mikoshi. So you can see like how many people it takes. And this one's actually pretty small. So it's probably not as heavy. Sorry, I'm not trying to disparage these guys, but I've seen very big ones that look like they're destroying people's backs while they're carrying them. There's a bigger one. Yeah, some of our delegates hanging out with locals. I believe that's actually Mina's son there that she's carrying. Oh, there's me and one of my former assistant managers. And that is, what I'm holding there is the shamisen, which is like a traditional lute that I play during the festival in the parade. There's a look downtown during the festival time. You can see how many people are out there. Obviously, during COVID times, we do not have this, but back before then, this is how it went. Some of our guys over there, actually, if any of you are from ASMSA, you probably recognize the guy on the right, Mr. Alderdice, the director over at ASMSA. Mary and some guys. Somebody from the festival executive committee is what it says on his jacket there. And he was a very photogenic man, so why not? I thought. There's our group here. Carrying lanterns. So there's lots of different things you can do during the festival. One thing that surely anybody can do is obviously carry the lanterns, and you kind of move them around in this there's like a choreographed way you move them around. Let me just say it that way. So you kind of have to learn that. But some people also go and play the taiko drums that are on the back of the floats and do some other stuff too. You can see the drums there in the back. Most floats have the drums in the back. They kind of carry the beat. And Mary and Robert, Mr. Sasaki. Actually, Kohei is right there. Kohei has been on this Garland County Library stream before. Where's them hanging out there? Oh, this was in the bathroom of a karaoke place during the festival that I guess I snapped during that time. Shouting Chicken. 2014, we had a New Year's cooking class that we set up here. And it's called, in Japanese, it's osechi ryori. So it's kind of, you make this kind of like a New Year's box filled with food. All sorts of different food made there. It's a kamaboko, which is like fish paste. It sounds so not good in English, but it is good. All right, just trust me on that. Got some meat. That is Naruto, which is made again from fish paste. We got some egg going, some fish. This is actually the egg rolled up. Little kids getting in on the action. I don't even think she could see into that bowl, but she's doing it. Oh, there she is, actually. Very cute. Some of the final cooked products here. Oh, and here's actually what we made in the end. So this would be like a osechi So the purpose of making this during New Year's is because, well, let me put it this way. New Year's is the big event here, like in terms of the winter season. It's not Christmas. New Year's is the big thing, and you don't want to do anything on New Year's Day. So what the purpose of these boxes are is that you make them the day before or even the day before then. And then on New Year's Day, you just have a meal ready to go inside the box. So you don't have to do anything. And so that's what we did. We just ate it right away. We made it and ate it. 2014, Funeko Nagashi, which is a type of festival out in Morioka, which is the capital of Iwate, which is where Hanumaki is. So it's nearby. And these photos are actually taken by a good friend of mine, Quinlan Ferris. You can check him out at Go North Japan on YouTube. He does a lot of really good photography and videos and stuff. You can see here, he takes really good shots. This is kind of like a boat burning festival in Morioka. It's kind of like done in remembrance of those lost in battle, like traditionally. But, you know, it's still done to this day. And that's in the Kitakami River that they're doing it there. So they would, you know, burn the boats and set off fireworks. I really like that festival. It's a very big, like, spectacle. That's an interesting shot there. And at night, looks really cool. 2015, we got the educators. So teachers from Hot Springs, they have their own delegation as well. Hanging out with the kids. Probably doing rock, paper, scissors there. They usually do these like lines. They'll line up on the left and the right to, you know, welcome everybody coming into their school. Some of the teachers there. So they had the teachers help out the kids, you know, with their English class there. Interested in what's on his phone? This is, I think, probably a middle school, judging by that girl's top there on the bottom. I don't remember off the top of my head. Presenting some gifts from ASMSA there and receiving gifts back. Oh, here, that statue there is Miyazawa Kenji. There's actually a silhouette version of that in Hot Springs outside the convention center. And when we get Hot Springs delegates, this is right outside City Hall where I'm at right now, where we always have the two flags on the left. That's the Hanumaki's emblem, and then, of course, the Japanese flag. And we raise the flag of Hot Springs whenever our visitors are here. This is at the General Education Center, again, for the teachers, inside of a planetarium. So they got to check out that. This guy, a very photogenic guy, and he's always got that chicken in his pocket whenever we go to the General Education Center. So again, they're showing the teachers how they would teach teachers different projects that they could do in class, you know, for science, for example. Something to do with magnetism, electromagnetism, maybe. Don't ask me. Over here with some younger kids, they made them shaved ice and hanging out. This is probably, I think this is a preschool. And then, so the kids, when we showed up there, they were outside playing. It was playtime, and they were making cake out of sand and dirt and putting icing on it, but it wasn't icing, it was soap suds that they made in the sink. Hopefully nobody ate the cake, but it does look very pretty. Then they brought the kids back in for some like shadow puppet time. A very adorable sight. "2015 student delegation." Some more students here for you guys. Of course, Mr. Coleman was there to chaperone. There's Bell there on the left. Some sports, basketball. These are Koto, and there's Yumi actually on the left there, helping Mr. Coleman out. And Koto is like a traditional harp, I guess you could say. So we had the student delegation learn how to play that. Checking out the local library. It's Caleb, it says there on his tag there. Hanging out with the kids. Etegami. So we brought them into, we have, her name is Makiko Terui, and she is an etegami teacher, I guess you could say. And etegami is, I mean, you're looking at it. It's like hand-painted postcards, but you do it with like watercolors, and you try not to be perfect. It's very like freeform and loose. So she always explains perfectly. There she is on the left, and she has an etegami group, and so her group mates come and help out with the class as well. Here's our guys practicing. So you would choose an object from a bunch of stuff that they would provide you, and then you would make your postcard with it, basically. You draw it from that. So there he is drawing the mask. And then you could choose to also put a kanji character or, like a sentence on it. And this is Mrs. Coleman, actually, Christina Coleman. This is her work here. Very cute. There they are with their finished products. And she always gives the banner that she made for them as well, so they get to take it home. They are meeting with the mayor again. And then hanging out with hosts. This is Hanumaki Higashi High School. So this is sister school to Lakeside in Hot Springs. Making friends. These are the troublemakers that I wanted to take a photo of. Just hanging out with the younger kids. So this is probably not at Higashi. This is somewhere else now. Making these like newspaper samurai hats or something. And Mr. Coleman, of course, wore his for the rest of the day. This is at the Marukan restaurants, Marukan department store at the top of it's like a 6-story department store. And at the top, there's a restaurant that overlooks the city. And one of the things that they're most famous for is this ice cream here, which is 25 centimeters tall, AKA around just under 10 inches, and traditionally eaten with chopsticks. This is obviously the time for goodbye. Saying goodbye to host students. Again, I told you there will be crying. And there it is. We still good on time here, or?
Yeah.
Would you like to continue?
You are good to continue for now.
Okay, good. 2015, Runbini Art Museum. Runbini is a local museum here. It's a rather unique museum. I don't even know if I should say museum or like art center. I mean, the Japanese is usually art museum, but the purpose of this place is it's a space for people with special needs to come and use as an outlet for creativity, like artistic creativity. And then the museum will show off their art, basically, for people to come and check out. So you can take a look at some of their work. Some really cool stuff here. This one, for example, I met the artist that made this one. And actually, I think I have a photo of that too, so I'll explain more about that later. But you can see there, if you look very closely, there's Japanese characters in there, like hiragana characters, but they're supposed to be faces. There's just like an explosion of faces. And I will tell you why in a second when we get to the next shot, but here's some other works there that we saw. They also do like, pottery and sculpture. Yeah, here's another one, and this one's just titled People. Very cool wall scroll here. Yeah, so here is upstairs at the museum, they have a workshop where they could come and just freely use the materials. They've got all sorts of like paints and, string and just all sorts of things you could make stuff with in here, basically. And here's the artist, and you can see she's actually working on another one. And so I found out when we went up here, this is my coworker there on the right showing her name card, because she asked, "Can I see your name?" And what she would do is look at people's name, and then she would write, not the characters of the name, she would write characters, just Japanese characters there, and create their face in the artwork. So my coworker there and me, my face is in there somewhere as well. So that huge drawing that I showed you first is one that she made before this, and that was just all people's faces that she would hear and look at the name and then transfer that into basically this artistic expression of who they were. And there she is doing it right after we told her our names. They've got like weaving stuff up there. It's very cool. All sorts of different things for them to do. Okay, 2015, Dogwoods. So this was at the Friendship Blossoms planting ceremony. Like around 100 years ago, or at the time it was like the 100th year anniversary of Japan sending the United States cherry blossoms. And so in return, now 100 years later, the United States sent Japan a gift of dogwood trees. And that gentleman there, I believe that was Norm Capistrano, I believe his name was, from the, I don't want to screw this up, the Consulate General in, was it Sapporo or was it from the United States? Mary, you probably know better than me, but sorry to Mr. Capistrano there, I don't remember exactly. There's Mary giving a talk as well. And the planting ceremony, we had local students there. There was a lot of press, and they were planted on the grounds of the Nitobe Museum. And Nitobe was a man who was the Undersecretary General of the United Nations. And he has his own museum here in Hanumaki, and a very important statesman historically. So we thought it was a good idea to put it on the grounds of the museum. And by it, I mean them. There was actually a bunch of them, not just one. There's the mayor there with Mr. Capistrano as well. And the official photo there with Mary. Digging, this was, so during the citizens visit at that time, so that man right there is, some of you might recognize him. That's Monty, I believe Monty Everhart, right? Memorable man, for sure. There's the official photo there for the ceremony. Yeah, so there he is in this one. Here's the 2015 citizens delegation here. We might have time for this one. We'll just cut me off if we run out of time, but here we go. Meeting with the mayor, of course. A bunch of our Hot Springs citizens. Going down Gaby Gorge. And actually spotted, these are kamoshika, which are it's like a mix between a deer and a goat almost. It's this very strange breed of animal that are very rare and hard to find. And just so happens that sometimes when I go out there, I can spot them up in the mountains. Still at the gorge here. So we get off the boat toward the end and come out to this mountainside here. Lunchtime. Sonia there as well. So this is at the Ihatov Center. Ihatov is the name that Miyazawa Kenji basically gave to Hanumaki and the surrounding area. It's kind of, because he's a fairy tale author, and he kind of made that name. And I believe it was based off of Esperanto, which is a language that he was studying at the time. And it's just kind of this second name for Hanumaki now. So that's why this is called the Ihatov Center. And that's his silhouette there. And if you live in Hot Springs, you probably have seen this because it is outside the convention center. We had a whole ceremony for setting it up over there as well. This is what it was based off of. They're like basically duplicates of each other. At the hotel lobby there, checking out the jewelry. Hot Springs Citizen Delegation welcome party. We always have welcome parties and ceremonies for almost all the delegations. So everybody gets a chance to hang out and talk and look good. Mary with Awazora. Awazora was, she taught Japanese at ASMSA. And I believe this was actually right before she left for Hot Springs. We, interviewed her over here and then sent her off to teach Japanese. This is at I believe the Nambu Sake Master Brewers Museum in Ishidoria. So Ishidoria is a town in Hanamaki, and they are well known for, several things, but one of them is for sake brewing. And so some of our delegates there, not actually making sake, but pretending to do so in a huge vat. But then, of course, there is always tasting. This is at, I believe, the Ohasama Cultural Heritage Center, and they have a lot of old traditional masks and all sorts of exhibits, but the masks are one of my favorite parts, very interesting. And of course, Monty is making his own mask. There's Monty and Ben Bell. We came across this sumo ring nearby, and of course, Monty, typical Monty fashion, gets in there and challenges Ben to a sumo duel. And I think that Monty won. But he was a good sport about it. 2015, Hanumaki City Museum. It's one of the many places we can take visitors here. Their exhibits do change, but they have lots of cool old stuff. So if you're interested in history and or traditional art, this is a cool place to stop by. Just some of the exhibits there. These I really like, very cool. A little bit creepy sometimes as well. More masks. This looks like a tengu, which is tengu is like a type of yokai, and it's like a kind of mythical spirit. So the tengu are like protective spirits of the mountains, and that's what they're considered nowadays. But a very long time ago, they weren't so nice and protective. The actual history behind them was that they were more of like harbingers of war. So just a little bit of trivia there for you. 2015, this is the Butokuden, which is like a martial arts facility that we have here in Hanumaki. You saw some archery earlier. So this is a lot of the kids that were doing archery would probably come here to practice during non-school hours. With good form. And there's the targets there. Here they are practicing. You can see some people making some good shots. Several bullseyes there. Here they are afterwards. And the guys out there, they have to, So that like arrow trap back there for all the missed shots, they have to make sure is good to go for the next class. So they come and smooth it out, and they hose it down so it's easier to move around and push back up and forth.
Hey, Jesse.
Yeah.
Mary just messaged me asking if we could start winding down.
Perfect.
So we want to go for a couple more minutes, and that'll give people time to ask any last-minute questions or leave any comments.
Sure. We'll finish this set, and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Okay, we're done. There we go. So I think I was talking with Mary before, and this is up to her and you, Paul, but we were considering maybe doing another episode because we just got so many photos. So.
Well, yeah, I'm A-okay with that. I know we have another one of these scheduled next month, so.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So am I good to close out of this here?
Yeah. I have a question, though. Am I unmuted yet?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Like you showed the archery, and I think one of the students here in the room might have this question, but do all schools have the archery and or is each school unique? I mean, do they all have pools? Do they all have?
Well, a lot of schools will have, everybody has club activity at schools here. Clubs are almost mandatory in Japan. Pretty much any school that you go to, you do a bunch of different things. So some students might do like calligraphy. Some students might do archery, for example. I don't think that every school definitely has like an archery team. But so for example, like some schools will have an archery club and they will go to the Butokuden, the martial arts facility that I just showed you. And that Butokuden, that martial arts facility is not associated with their school, but it's open for citizens to use and for school groups to come and practice at. And local like masters of, for example, of archery. We have one here at City Hall. He's a guy who's just a City Hall official, and he'll go over there sometimes after work and help teach the kids. So that's usually how it's done.
Now, what does a typical Japanese school day look like as far as when clubs are?
So clubs they're done after school. And so in most cases here, unless you have like extenuating circumstances, you're not going home right after school. And depending on the club, you might be there for several more hours. Some kids, like for example, Hanumaki Higashi is famous for baseball. Shohei Ohtani, for example, in the major leagues in the US right now, he's a Higashi graduate. Actually graduated like right around the time that I got here, maybe a little bit earlier, I want to say. I go there and I meet all the kids, and I'm always looking at some of them from the baseball club and being like, this guy might be the next MLB star. So for example, the reason I'm bringing that up is because like baseball students, for baseball club members, for example, they'll be there practicing on the weekends. They'll be there after school. They'll be there for several hours, sometimes until night. Like they'll go at it hard. And then there's other clubs that maybe it's like an hour or two after school. So if there's like a whole spectrum of how like intense it gets.
Now, the students clean the school too, don't they? Is that the same in all schools?
Yes, for the most part. For most schools, students do clean it. There's good and bad to that. And this is what I've heard, especially from teachers that actually work at the schools. So the good is you're instilling, obviously, respect for the surroundings and like good habits for the kids to clean up. However, the bad is that they're not professional janitors. they're not groundskeepers. So they're sometimes just swishing the dirt around with wet cloths. And so is it actually getting cleaned? It's not really, but also the kids are doing something good. So it's, it's something that the teachers like to kind of say. So I'm saying it on behalf of them.
Are there any questions here from the students here in the room? Okay, Ben?
For a student delegation, like a normal trip, about how many schools do you like? Is it like one school each day, or is it like just like a couple schools over the week?
Okay, so I think the question is for like the typical delegation, like how many schools do we go to, basically? Yeah. So it depends on the delegation. It depends on the time that you're here, but for the most part, several schools. For you guys, so for Hot Springs, like high school students that are coming in here, typically at least Higashi and Kita, the two high schools that are sister cities or sister schools. So Higashi is sister schools with Lakeside, and Kita is sister schools with ASMSA. And then we'll also go usually to several other schools. Some of them might be middle schools. We might stop by an elementary school or two just to like give you a look into it, but it kind of depends because the schedule is, there's some staples that we always keep in the schedule, like the museums and stuff, but we try to kind of mix it up for each group so that you can each get like your own unique experience. So you might end up going to a school that the last group before you didn't go to.
All right, cool.
Any other questions? Okay, you've done a good job, Jesse. No more questions. I don't know. Yeah, Paul, are there any other questions from?
There's quite a few comments. We had Connor who says, "Love you, Jesse. You do awesome work."
Connor, I do remember you. Thank you.
In the shot where Jesse holds the shamisen, did I pronounce that right?
Shamisen, yep.
That was my host mother, I believe. Glad to see her face again.
Really? She's my assistant manager, yeah. Well, she was. She works somewhere else now, but. Yeah.
And then Kai says, "Hello, thank you for sharing the wonderful memories of our sister city." Shout out from David, who says, "Nice presentation, Jesse." And then I can't read the characters he shared, but here I'll see.
Oh, he just says arigato. He just says thank you. Thank you, David. Yeah, David, of course, retired now, but used to work at ASMSA.
Jane says, "It was a wonderful trip. I went in 2013. The festival was fabulous. I got to play the drums. Thank you, Jesse, for doing this. Great to see such wonderful memories and new things we didn't see."
Nice. Yeah, good to hear it. Yeah.
Question from Layla: Will we be going to a different school every day?
It really depends on the schedule. Like for the most part, sometimes groups will go to a school every day that they're here, minus like 1 or 2 days. Of course, the weekends, usually Saturday and Sunday, we actually set those aside as host family day. So you're not with me and my staff here on the weekend. You are with your host family alone with them. So you get your own time to hang out, they might take you out, do stuff together, but other days, yeah. So like, for example, right, this isn't exactly how you will do it for sure, but for example, like maybe Monday we go to a high school, Tuesday we go to a junior high school, then maybe Wednesday we're out at the Gaby Gorge, so we're not going to schools because it's kind of a trip. And then maybe Thursday we're at a school again, and then maybe Friday we're not at a school, we're visiting like certain museums and having lunch at the Marukan, and then Saturday, Sunday you're with your host families. And yeah, so that might be like a typical week. So it's depending on when you come here, you might, minus or plus a school, basically.
We have a very short comment from Raymond, but I agree. He says, "That's amazing." And I think, I'm not sure which image he was talking about, but I noticed this one came in during the museum section with the artwork.
Is that Raymond McNary?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Nice, good to see you. Well, not see you, but hear from you, Raymond.
And it looks like that's all for our live comments and questions on this end. Is anyone there? Did anyone there think of anything?
I don't think anybody else had any questions. Oh, yes, we do. Come on, Ken.
I have a curiosity. With the schools, how common is like a theater school or a theater club, I guess?
So the question, just make sure I heard it right. How common is like a theater club?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know in the US we have like drama, we have, theater clubs and stuff like that. I think, I don't want to speak on, I've been here for a very long time, but I'm not super into that. So I don't want to speak out of turn, but from my experience, just from what I know, there are such things, but it's like traditional theater. Like for example, Kagura is a type of performance. I actually just filmed, I'm probably going to throw it up on YouTube later. I don't know, this month if I can edit it in time. I've got tons of stuff going on, but I filmed 3 different Kagura performances. So I will try to get those up and you guys can check those out. But yeah, traditional song and dance is still very much maintained out here. So students will probably, if they're going into something like that, they will probably do it in the more like old-fashioned traditional stuff. But like drama, like, you know, plays and stuff, in my experience, not as big here, but I also live in the countryside. I live in Hanumaki, right? So I don't know, like maybe down in Tokyo, it's like a whole different scene. I can't really speak on their behalf, but in my experience out here, not as big in that sector.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
And something else Jesse's going to be helping us with, we're in Hot Springs, we're going to do a Sister City sing-along.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so Jesse will be helping us prepare for that, and then we will video it when we perform it on July 15th. We'll video it and send the video to Hanumaki to share there, and it's just to send good wishes, kind of as a part of the Olympic spirit. And so we're singing a song in Japanese, so that's where we need Jesse's help.
Yeah, we're definitely excited for that. I will be available. I'll talk with you later about the timing and stuff, but I will surely be available to do like calls. We can help out with language for whoever wants to like get the pronunciation down for the song and stuff. I can't necessarily sing, but I can pronounce the words for sure. So
we're going to do it karaoke style with the words up. So, you know, loud is sometimes better than really good. So
right.
Maybe not better, but more expected.
It should be fun at the very least.
Exactly. We'll have fun. That's the whole thing. So.
Yep.
Okay.
We had one last question from Layla. Will we stop in Tokyo?
Well, it's up to you, Mary.
We go through Tokyo, but we don't typically stop. We stop to change trains. So you get to see Tokyo, but we don't spend time there typically with the student delegation. That's the normal schedule. That's the students can save that for the next trip. You know, that's a taste of Japan with the student delegation and rural Japan, and lots of time and meeting people and finding out about Japan, true Japan. And then they can go back to Tokyo and Kyoto, and, you know, it's just save something for them to look forward to for another trip.
Right, and you can't even come here to Hanumaki without going through Tokyo because there are no international airports up here. So we have an airport, but it's domestic. So
last comment I'll read from Carol. Great program. Glad you keep making these presentations. And speaking of that, we'll have at least one more, and that is the last Wednesday of next month, which is July 28th. Same time, 6 p.m. Central, which is what time in Japan, Jesse?
Should be 8 o'clock in the morning.
Excellent. So I guess Mary will give me details on that program here in the near future, and we'll so keep an eye out for that. But it's last Wednesday, July 28th of next month. And I am very hungry after seeing all those wonderful food pictures.
Yeah, who's ready for Japanese food?
Yes, always.
I wish you guys could come here, honestly.
Well, one day.
Yeah.
Yep.
So any final remarks from either of you?
Mary? No,
Nope, we're good. Thank you so much, Jesse. Thank you for all the time and effort you put into it. And to the other friends there in the International Exchange Office, thank you for all of this together. So we're very, very grateful. We miss you.
Miss you.
We'll see you soon, and come see us, please, as soon as we get past all of this.
Yep. All right.
And we'll be sending you good thoughts and for safety for everyone there for the Olympics. And we'll be watching along here in Hot Springs, obviously. And we're just so grateful to Japan for hosting the Olympics. So.
Yeah, no, we're grateful to have such a great sister city as Hot Springs. Let me say that.
All right. Well, thank you both for doing this, and thank everyone for watching. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
All right.
Or good day.